Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. Now, I'm not a propagandist. I don't consider myself a patriot. I put God first. But when it comes to talking to people and having certain inalienable rights, these things are supposed to be obvious. Even to go over it seems corny to some degree, but people don't understand it. So-called adults these days in America are acting very childish. Look at MAGA, January 6th. Look at cancel culture. These gender-neutral bathroom crowd and the child sex changes, the trannies in sports, the trannies in women's prisons in California, and on and on and on. It's like everyone has lost their mind. The centrists are just idiots these days too. If they were so smart, and there's so many of them, and they're allowed to talk to each other, they're just refusing to. There's so many of them. They would simply get together, they'd clean up. Why aren't they doing that? Because their cultures are also insufficient. It's not just the left wing and the right wing that's failed, it's also the middle. They're sitting there waiting until their fellow Americans are utterly sexually abused, hooked to a machine, murdered, assaulted, you name it. They're just waiting until the carnage just piles up all the way to the sky, as the story goes, just on and on and on. They don't care. We're just going to sit there like a lame duck that does not have the virtue, the masculinity if they're a man, the femininity if they're a woman, to do what's right. Why the Bible says one who slackens the work is brother to one who destroys. Now, when we look at the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, we hear ideas like, we see and hear ideas such as the inalienable human rights, right? These inseparable human rights. The right to pursue happiness, right? The freedom of speech, and so on and so forth. When it says something like, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all humans were created equal. Now, first of all, who is the audience that they're talking about? Like Charlie Kirk pointed out, a lot of these guys are Christians. Lots of those guys were Christians. You think they were saying to these people, hey, we think it's obvious and self-evident, just unbelievably obvious, that Jesus was no better than the next person. That is outrageous. No one's that stupid. They did not say that. That's not what they were saying. That is stupid as hell. And if it was what they were saying, we should discard that and focus on the truth of the matter. For example, if they were saying that everyone should dress like a duck and have sex with animals, and that's what they were saying in code, you think we should uphold that? No, that's stupid. So the right to pursue happiness. All people being created equal within reason. Equal rights. The right to vote. The right to a fair trial. That's what it was saying. Not that we're all created, in a way that makes it so that we're not disabled. We're not born retarded. Or we're all born with the same amount of money. I can't stress that enough. People don't understand equality. You got people on the left, they're talking insane as hell. People on the right, they're talking crazy as well. And the left is saying, they're all equal and they just play dumb and they're just trying to make everyone quote unquote equal, just ruining lives. Left and right, people complaining, children complain. They don't want the sex change. They're being coerced into it. We see that a lot of these children have been sexually abused and then they think, hey, maybe they should get a sex change. And there's a bunch of LGBT people putting pressure on people. That's why 30% of Generation Z identifies as LGBT, according to some studies, because they're being pressured by LGBT people, and sometimes they're being raped. Just like you have a spectrum of people on the left and right, you have a spectrum of people in the LGBT community, and some of them obviously are raping little children, adopting children, raping them, you name it, to turn them out. And I've heard stories. We'll have to figure out, find the person. Hey, this person over there, where did I see this person? And bring that front and center. And you can take my word for it. I've heard the stories. I've seen the evidence. It happens to some degree. I can't tell you to what degree, but I can tell you with certainty to some degree. We see the phrase child grooming. Grooming to be what? Some are groomed to be Republican. Some are groomed to be LGBT. So when we look at this situation, we can say with certainty that a core cultural value in America, what's supposed to be the core value, what's encoded in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, which aren't exactly the most important documents in history. The way is the truth and the life, not whatever some mere human being writes down in a secular movement. No, the way, the truth, and the life. However, if people want to start crying about the American agenda and Americanism, don't you think that we should consider the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence? So as they're persecuting me, as they're fuming me, they're fuming the idea of the American spirit in its true form within the boundaries of universal pinpoint and moral precision. Like Martin Luther King said, the greatness of America is the right to protest for right, not for occult coded language, but for right. Now, when you don't come out front and center and disagree, and then you push a secret agenda and call it Americanism, your spirit is the spirit of being a coward. If your spirit is so great, why won't you come out front and center and spell it out? I'm the top martial artist ever possible. And nobody's helping me out, but yet I'm spilling out what I believe. It's called being a man. But you people are in the spirit of being afraid of standing on your own 10 toes for what's right. Why on earth should anyone want to go to war and die for that? Why should any police officer want to go to work and risk their life for that? So as you're persecuting me, never forget you're not only persecuting somebody who's actually living the values that Americans claim to live, but you're persecuting the most righteous person that ever lived. And that includes the most righteous person ever born in America. If that's not going against the essence of America, what is? If that's not waging war against the essence of America, what is? I challenge you to come up with an argument. It behooves everyone in the military and the police and in the intelligence agencies to stop being a fucking pussy and to stand with me and fight for the essence of what you said on paper. The essence of your oath to the Constitution, which is first and foremost an oath to me, as I'm the most righteous person that ever lived in America, and everyone else is betraying what it means to live American values.